What's new, crew? If you're new, my name's Cassandra. Welcome back to my channel. It has been unbelievably hard for me to get a full form video out, but I have a ton of clips all throughout the month of June and a little bit over the 4th of July weekend. So let's just cram it all together and give you guys a little bit of just an update on what's been happening around what we're going to call the modern homestead. First off, a lot of things been happening. The driveway went in. We have a lot of harvesting that's been happening, a little bit of preserving, a lot of herbs, and we actually just yesterday got our first heads of broccoli and our first head of cauliflower out of the garden. So we're going to be talking about how I like to kind of clean those up, a little bit of this and that. So let's go ahead and talk about all the things that we have been doing over the last couple of weeks here as things really start getting kicked off. First off, the driveway went in for the shop. Last year, we put this shop up on the property. It's a 40 by 60, and we had to get the driveway put in. However, we do like to split our projects kind of into segments. It keeps it a little bit more cost efficient that way. And the shop was a massive expense for us. So we waited till the year after to put the driveway in, which actually worked out because we had this huge pile of topsoil and I wanted more raised beds. So we decided to wait on the extra raised beds and wait until the driveway went in because we're going to have all this topsoil that normally you would have to pay to have hauled away, or in our case, the company that we hired to put the driveway in actually will buy the topsoil back and sell it to somebody else to like put in raised beds or things like that. But we wanted it, so we said, no way, we're keeping that topsoil. And this saved us probably around $3,000 to have a company haul in topsoil for us. So we really try to work financially smart and kind of plan our projects in a way where we can have leftover material like all that topsoil and have it sitting here waiting to fill these raised beds. Last year at the end of garden season, my husband bought a ton of these Insta braces from Menards. They were 50 cents a case. My husband bought almost every single one they had on the shelves. We've been able to kind of share these with friends and family and neighbors. They make raised beds so easy because all you have to do is slip the boards in and secure it with a nail and they're good to go. It takes maybe 5 minutes to put the actual raised beds together. They're amazing. I cannot talk about how much we love these. They're amazing. We used these when we built the new sandbox for the kids. They're awesome. But we ended up getting our raised beds in, at least one raised bed. We wanted to get more in, but we just did not have the time for it. I also have been tying up my celery. This just helps keep it together, keep it tight, and when they get heavy, they don't fall over and break, especially in the high winds we've been having here. We have so many tomatoes coming in. None of them are ripening quite yet, but that's pretty typical for my area. We live in zone 4B, so it can take some time here to get things to ripen. These are some of the raised beds that we have currently. They are full of root vegetables, so we have tons of carrots and we have some potatoes in here. This is our first year growing potatoes and they just started to flower, which means I'm going to take some of that topsoil that we have and I'm going to start mounding these up. That is something that is on the list for the next couple of days here. Our trilogy green beans are starting to put on little beans, which is very exciting. Hopefully this week we will start harvesting basketfuls of green beans. This is an example of how you know your broccoli is ready to be harvested. Once you can kind of pull it apart like that, it is good to go. Go ahead and harvest it off. Just make sure that you're cutting it off at an angle. Leave the broccoli plant because it will create a ton of side shoots and you'll be able to continue to harvest broccoli off of it as long as the plant doesn't get diseased or anything like that. I have this little button head of cauliflower that the plant was just dying. It had been just destroyed by bugs. So I decided to just take it and rip the plant out, and I leave the plant right there and it will compost in the garden. When it comes to washing any type of brassicas, I always add salt to my water, just regular table salt like you saw. That is just going to help swim out any bugs that are in there. Brassicas get cabbage moss really bad, at least in my experience they do, and you will see these little green worms start to kind of wiggle out of your brassicas, like your broccolis, your cauliflowers, your cabbages, Brussels sprouts, things like that. So adding salt to the water helps them kind of decide they don't like it in there anymore, and they're going to swim out trying to get out of there. And that way, you know, you're not getting a little extra protein with your broccoli and things. So I let those soak for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes maybe, and then I just rinse them off really good and lay them out on a towel to dry. Once they're dry, I just put them in a Ziploc bag and put them in the fridge for use for later. It's pretty simple. It doesn't have to be crazy. I just let these soak as long as I was washing my lettuce, which I just leave in my strainer, let it drip for a while, and then I will put that in a Ziploc bag and store that in the fridge as well for use. Another big project that we did, I have a full video on this if you would like to see it. I am trying this tip to help grow big shallots and big onions this year, and that is to just kind of trim off the green onions so that your onions will continue to grow. I will link the video down below, but I didn't want to waste all these green onions because we harvested so many of them, so we decided to preserve them. My kids helped me kind of slice these up, and we did sliced green onions, and we also did powdered green onions to make an onion powder. I don't really know how often I would use these, but you never really know until they're on the shelf. And the thing with dehydrated foods is they can sit on the shelf for a long time, and then you can hit a kick where you go, I know exactly what I can use that for, and then you use up a whole quart of it in, you know, a month or two, and you realize it's your new favorite thing to use. So we just dehydrated it. Once it was dehydrated, I put it in my food processor and just whipped it up until it was a powder, and that's how we made our green onion powder, which is just going to be like an onion powder. I think I will use this a lot. I'm actually very excited to use this. And this is what it looks like. Very simple, very easy. And then I just store these in my mason jars and put them on the back side of my stove. That way they're visible for me when I'm cooking. I label them so my husband knows what they are, and they will be used a lot. One of the biggest preservation projects that we've been doing so far is herbs. Right now, for most of June, that's kind of the only thing I've had coming out of the garden is herbs. We planted more herbs than we ever have this year, so my dehydrator has been running almost constantly. I have done a lot of basil, oregano, sage, thyme, lemon balm, some other medicinal type herbs that I plan to use later in the year, more for like bath and body products come this winter, to kind of, I have this goal to make a lot of handmade Christmas presents this year. That's always my goal, is to give everybody like a basket of Homestead goodies, and my family really appreciates all those handmade gifts, and everyone thinks it's really cool because we get to trade, and then it's, hey, how did you make that? You need to show me how to make this. So it's really fun because all of us can kind of get together and trade skills and teach each other, and everybody really likes that stuff. So it's really cool because you're not only giving them a present, you're giving them a little bit of knowledge, you're giving them a little bit of inspiration on how maybe they can do things or what they can do with some of their stuff that they have sitting on the shelf that they preserved, and maybe they're not quite sure how to use or what to make with it. So that's always really fun. But this is just a really quick July / mostly June homestead update, what's been happening around here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys have a fantastic day wherever you are, and I will catch you guys in another video. Bye.